Hey, boys and girls, Doug Giles here. It's Warriors Rich
and Wildmen. What's happening, Doug?
Hey, I'm going hunting.
All right.
I'm going hunting manana, buddy.
I like that.
Yeah, hopefully when we reconvene for the Warriors and Wildmen Epic podcast, the next episode, I will have a great story to tell. But, you know, whether I score or not, which hopefully I will.
What are you hunting?
We're hunting aoudad sheep.
Nice.
And for the uninitiated who doesn't know, what's an aoudad sheep, man? Well, they hail from the Barbary coast of North Africa. Unfortunately, because the morons govern that area of northern Africa, they pretty much decimated the herds and stuff. And I think back in the 1930s, the aoudad sheep were released up in Paladura Canyon, which is it's kind of around Amarillo, for those who don't know Texas too well, up in the Panhandle. And dude, they took off. They flourished. I mean, it's they're similar habitat to that area in North Africa, and we will be just north of Big Bend. So it's free range herds. They've got some prehistoric monster toads there that they've been sending me videos of. So I love chasing the ram, man. And Rich, I think they're the most undervalued hunt that's out there. I think they go right up there with desert bighorn sheep.
Yeah.
Some of the other sheep species, and they're a fraction of the cost too.
Well, every time I saw them, they were always running like a linebacker coming out of the backfield. I never see them hanging out. They're always, as soon as they see you, they're hooking it up, right? And the one that I shot, he was 190 yards away, and he was not looking toward us. And then he started kind of looking around, and our guide Caleb said, "Shoot him!
Wham!
Shoot him!" You can hear him on the video. Shoot him! Shoot! Pull! Rich, pull the trigger! Shoot! You gotta shoot! And I shot him just the second that they all took off. So I nailed him. But they're not participating. They ain't trying to get shot.
Yeah, they're not stupid sheep. They're not like the farmer's sheep and stuff. They are wild
and they're
woolly
powerful.
Animals.
They're awesome.
No, they're freaking huge, man. I think a good billy, will come in around 350. Some people say 400, but they're stout.
Yeah,
and they know how to use those legs, buddy.
Yeah,
and those hoofs. I've seen them on some of the most precarious perches and vantage points. Just sitting there. Like, it's just normal Tuesday, licking an ice cream cone.
Yep.
And, I've had guides like, we're going to go get them. It's like, not me,
Well,
we'll get to around 400 yards, and then I'll send my little friend called 180 grain triple shock X bullet up there to see if he can get him. But I ain't schlepping up Mount Killawussy.
No way.
So,
and we're talking about raising sons, and the great thing about when I shot my aoudad is my boys were with me, and it was the first time that we had been on a hunt other than birds and stuff like that, And so when I shot that aoudad on the video, you could hear my sons losing their minds. We've said it before, it's their greatest vacation so far, but they lost their minds, Doug. They thought that was the coolest thing in the entire world. So it's great, man, to get your kids outside, man.
Absolutely.
At least get them outside for sure. And
again, that's the
level,
Yeah, no, that's. I think it's the hunting, real hunting, and again, I love all kinds of hunting. If you want to, shoot things over corn, great, cause that's part of game management.
Yeah,
that's part of stewardship.
Sure.
And you got to take the deer out because there's only so many trees and acorns and stuff to browse. So we've got to maintain, we've got to liquidate. Rich, everything from nose hairs to brown bears needs management. So all hunting's good. Low fence hunting, high fence hunting, but aoudad sheep in Big Bend,
that's
free
cool.
range. That's hectic.
Yeah,
that's hectic. So, you know what I hope we bump into, buddy? And I've got the perfect thing. My friend over on Instagram, Perry Maddle, he's the owner, and I'm not getting paid for this either, Rich, for pocket prey. So it's a predator call, and those little bastards work, man.
Wow.
So
for
hopefully,
wolves?
Here's what I hope. Jesus, are you listening? He said yes. A mountain lion. Can you imagine? Because Texas, Rich, you can smoke them. It's not like, they're protected species and they don't shoot them and they protect them and then they end up eating, joggers.
Yeah. Hey, here's a hunting tip, and people have been seeing this on the news and stuff with that mountain lion that was tracking that guy. Was that in Utah? That hiker?
Dude, that was
an
awesome.
intense. The guy got the video. That guy's he's awesome.
I think his commentary is hilarious,
dude, because it's so real, right? It's not manufactured. That's on the fly. Yeah, impressive. But somebody
Rich,
said, I thought that. Go ahead.
Hold that thought. What I learned about the mountain lion is the way they're going to kill you. They're going to hit you with both paws.
Dude.
Did you see the way that she's going pop, pop, pop?
Yeah, the only thing that was more impressive than that was how quickly it went from far away to right there with both those paws in the air flapping around like I'm about to tear you up.
Oof.
Like a Ginsu knife.
Can't imagine, man.
So it's a mountain lion, right? And then some people were saying, no, it's a cougar.
Oh.
And here's the thing. Check it out. A mountain lion, a cougar, a puma, and a panther are the same thing. There's some small variation, but that's the same thing. You call them same thing. So anybody who's out there wondering what the difference is, yeah, I looked it up because we had that discussion.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
There is no difference.
It's a big cat with claws that's about to light you up because that thing was mad.
Right. Yeah, they just call them different things depending on where they hail from. Down in Florida panther.
Yeah.
Puma, I think that's is that in Arizona, Mexico, Central?
No,
South
man,
America
we're calling them mountain lions out here.
Terminology. Yeah, they're freaking mountain lions.
And the funny thing is, they're not lions.
They're 180, maybe 200 pounds on a big Tom kitty cat, and I'm looking at my lion over here, 500 pounds, Rich, of tooth, fang, and claw, and I can't imagine that thing swatting me or anything, remotely that size.
Yeah.
I don't even like, house cats, man.
No,
they freak me out.
Annie and I walked out of the house
Hey,
and
did you
saw
see that
two
bobcat?
bobcats fighting, and they rolled right by her car. I'm talking about 10 yards from her car. Rolled like, wow, going crazy, rolled into the road, and we're like, whoa. So I started videoing it. Oh, it wasn't, apparently that was a warm-up for mating. They weren't actually fighting. But I'm going to tell you something. When I saw that, I looked at how stocky that male was. I was like, nah, I'll pass. And that's a small cat, but it's all muscle and all claws everywhere and a whole lot of attitude. Pass.
Yeah, and its whole day is spent killing stuff.
Yeah,
so
with an attitude.
It knows how to use those claws.
Yeah.
I was working back when I was purple haze, dazed and confused drug user. I was working at a gas station in high school, and so we had the self-service pumps, and then we had the full service. I don't know if you remember the whole full service days, but so this guy comes over.
Some states are like that. You can't pump your own gas. Stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, that's probably where all the snowflakes live. Let me guess, they're probably Democratic hovels.
I'm sure.
Anyway, so on the self-serve pumps, I see this cowboy-looking dude get out of his truck, old beat-up truck, mud everywhere, and he's got this cage in the back. It's like, I got to go see what this guy has. He's got a freaking bobcat in it, man. And I'm looking over the truck, bed, looking into the cage, and I punched the wire cage, and that freaking bobcat just goes, wow, and just grabbed the cage. And I'm telling you, Rich, he would have pulled my throat all apart, run up my esophagus, grabbed my large and small intestines, and pulled them right out of my head, man. If he could do it.
They're wild.
And he had his he'd been trapped not in this safety trap, but in a full on those old school bear cage or bear type traps, and so he was doing that with one nearly severed paw, and again, attitude on steroids, tooth, fang, and claw, man.
Yep.
That's why I always respect wild animals. We got deer that we're feeding here. Mary Margaret's now hand feeding them. It's like, you better watch that, because who knows? When a deer rises up on its hind legs, even these tiny little Texas Hill Country deer, and they smack you with those hooves. I've got a scar on my left shin where I thought this little doe was already dead that we were hunting, and I walk up on it too close, too fast, and boom, kicked me right in the leg. And that happened when I was 16. So,
whoa.
42 years later, Rich, I still bear the scar of the little doe. So
You bear
always
the scar of the deer.
I do. That sounds like a song that Ted Nugent would sing. I bear the
Yeah.
scar of the deer. Yeah.
Perfect
So
segue into our topic.
hey, I gotta bring this up before we get into the raising boys stuff. To me, like, first of all, I could never be Catholic, period, because I've been marinating in the teaching of R.C. Sproul for many, many moons. My mind is bound by the scripture, and there's just a lot of stuff that they do that, how shall I put it, Rich? It's extra biblical. But this week, the Pope came out in a documentary. I haven't seen it, but it splashed all over the news yesterday. And he endorses gay civil unions.
Yeah.
So
Which
that's
you
a
shouldn't
shocker.
endorse civil unions. Anyway, but you know what I found is that with the Catholic Church, there's a lot of doctrine that's incorrect. Some may even deal with salvation that are incorrect. But there's a lot of people in the Catholic Church that don't know anything about those doctrines, and they read their Bible and they love Jesus. I know a lot of Catholics that are definitely saved. So there's this thing, you know, I don't know. It's like, do you remember the movie The Apostle with Robert Duvall?
Absolutely. One
Great
of the best
movie.
Duvall films
Yeah.
of all time.
And I remember when he was there in the Catholic, I think it was a bishop or a priest or somebody was going down the river on this little float thing, and the people was like, I don't know if they were blessing and stuff. And he said this great line, and I was a great legalist back then, so I hated it, but later it made more sense when I got a brain. And he goes, yep, there you are. I can't remember exact words, but basically, there you are. You do it your way, I do it my way. We're getting it done. Like, he just had this mind of, we're just trying to get it done. We're just trying to tell people, you know, and I thought it was such a great line. You know, later I appreciated it more.
Yeah, I'm not a student of Catholicism, but isn't the Pope supposed to be like Jesus on planet Earth, on this third rock from the sun?
Yeah, technically he's the vicar of Christ, but then we're all supposed to be, right? So
Yeah, but he's obviously got a leg up on us, right?
right, but
as far
it's
as the
supposed
pecking
to
order
be,
goes.
yeah, not me because I'm a Protestant. I've been informed. I wasn't protesting anything, but I was informed that I was absolutely a Protestant before I knew what that meant.
Yeah, my whole Christianity's been one loud protest.
Yeah,
that's
well,
for sure.
I always say this. This is the honest truth. I did not know the difference between Martin Luther and Martin Luther King Jr. Did not know the difference of those because I want to thank public education, specifically in Arizona. But I had no idea of the clue. I definitely wasn't protesting anything. All I had with me was a Bible and this wild experience with Jesus who smacked me up inside the head and said, you might want to come hang out with me a little bit more because you ain't doing good.
So do you know the difference between Martin Luther and Luther Vandross?
Nope.
You don't?
Well, is it a joke? I thought it was a joke. I don't know the joke, but I do know one's got a chocolatey smooth voice, and I would guess that it probably wasn't Martin Luther.
Yeah, so yesterday when it was official that he now sanctioned gay union, all of a sudden my phone starts blowing up, and everybody's like, "Can you believe this? Doesn't this shock you?" It's like, no. What do you expect from a guy who walks around in an Elvis costume that's completely bedazzled, and he carries a wand? They cover up gay molestation of altar boys and
pedophilia. A guy who's from South America who's a socialist, who's an anti-capitalist, who agrees with everything that's not Christian. So for that guy to say that, that's no surprise to me.
Yeah, to me, it just further shows that, the cat's probably, not probably, I would, well, who knows? I'm not a judge. Yeah, I don't think he's saved. I don't think you can support Marxist radicals, have liberation theology, look at something that God calls reprobation, and then give a high five to it. And, I was talking to a very ardent Catholic, and I'm talking about old school Florence, Italy, pure Italian bloodline on everybody that created this person yesterday. And she's like, I'm done. I'm not going to stump for them anymore, not going to defend it. She said that's clear aberration, of Scripture again.
Yeah,
That
but wherever
they're doing, and I'm out. I'm not going to
doesn't
call
even.
myself.
But people today are doing that. Not just Catholics. People in the Christian church are ignoring the Bible, ignoring the clear teachings of Jesus, ignoring the doctrines of Christianity to become culturally sensitive. And the Catholic Church just has a leg up on that, a head start. The syncretism has been the definition. If you look in the dictionary, it says Catholicism right after it. They've done that all along. They've always syncretism. For those that don't know what it means, I only know what it means because I looked it up one day. But what it means is that when the Catholic Church came into South America, they were like, we want to convert these people. Well, they already have their own religion. They're pagans. And they said, well, hey, we can incorporate some of that into what we do. That'll make what we
Right.
are giving you easier to swallow. And let's just say that the Catholic Church is the best at it. But let's say the second best at it is the Southern Baptist Convention because they're all up on it now. And so some guy was quoted the other day on Facebook, and he said, live by the fad, die by the fad. And another guy commented and said, yeah, well, you should take your own advice. He said, live woke, die woke. And so
Live woke and go broke.
Yeah, here's the reality is that the church is getting away from the doctrines, not just the doctrine, not the law. They're getting away from the spirit of Scripture, of what Jesus said. They're making it completely something else. Look, there's a lot of religions in the world that are open, that they're not exclusive, and you can be whatever you want, and it's all good, but Christianity is not one of them. It's an exclusive faith. It's based on the resurrection of Jesus Christ, of him being God. And it means when it says there's no way to come to the Father except by me, that means there's no way. It doesn't mean there's another way, but if you really believe or however you feel. And so Doug, me and you came along way too late in the game to have an opinion about that statement. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus is either God, and he was either raised from the dead, or he's not. And if he is, no one comes to the Father except through me. Boom. Everything else is garbage. So people aren't just missing. Yeah. It's not just the church is legalistic. We're not talking about legalism. We're talking about you're missing the spirit of what Christ said.
Yeah, George Barna said that 30%, I think 30%, some very low number, believe in that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Now, there's many roads. This is evangelicals. Yep. This is not New Age hippies, smoking weed on the back of a truck at a big fish rally in Burning Man festival or something like that. These are people that said, yes, Jesus is my Lord, and the Bible is true, and it really doesn't matter because there's many pathways to God. But again,
choose an easier one than Christianity. If there's many, and let me submit this, Doug. You tell me what you think about this. If there are other ways, when Jesus said, Father, if there's any other way, take this cup from me. No, I'm a sick, sadomasochistic freak in the sky. I want to watch my son die because, there's other ways. But what the heck? We already started this. Let's do the deal. Either the cross was required or God is a freak. Right? I mean, if there was another way, brother. And Jesus a son says to his father, Dad, if there's another way to do this and I don't have to die, no, I just want to provide another way, a weird one where I kill you. And we call it good. Like, that isn't even freaking, I don't even care if you're a theologian. I don't care if you believe in God. That's the weirdest freaking thing I've ever heard. So it's either exclusive or it's a lie.
Yeah, and going back to the whole thing about, there's two problems that I have with what the Pope said. First of all, he said, we're all God's children. No, we're not. You're God's.
Through faith.
We're not all God's children unless we've been adopted via Christ and his sacrifice, and that makes us his children. Paul said, before you ever got into Christ, you were a child, all right, a child of wrath that was driven by the flesh and demons.
Yep.
And God, who is rich in mercy, saved you. And it's by grace through faith that you've been saved and appointed unto good works. So it has, we're not all God's children. And I'm not just singling out, people with that particular penchant. Anybody outside of Christ is is not God's children. It's just clear. If you again bring the Bible into it with Rich, I think we're not supposed to do that anymore. But I'm going to stick to the Verbum Dei, and it says that you must be born again. And Nicodemus, the religious leader there in Israel, he didn't even get it. He didn't even get that. So that's
scholar.
That's one problem I have with it. which is kind of big. And then secondly, here he is, the vicar of Christ on the earth. And Jesus said that marriage and a union that's sanctioned by the Father is between a man, physical man, biological man,
Yep.
and a physical, biological woman. That's Matthew 19, 1 through 8.
Yep.
So any kind of religion, any kind of person, Rich, if I all of a sudden start saying that kind of weird crap, walk from me. And listen, people, if you're into something and your leader goes that rogue and anti-biblical, whether it's a Protestant or Catholic, branch of Christendom, then walk away, man. Paul told people, he said, listen, you follow me as I follow Christ. In other words, if I stop following Christ, then guess what? Don't follow my example. So,
Well, yeah.
anyway,
Doug, there was a great conversation that happened about that exact thing. Jesus was talking to the Pharisees, and he said, yeah, this is the way it goes down. And they said, hey, we're sons of Abraham. He said, are you? Really? Because Abraham and Moses both rejoiced to see my coming. How could you say that? You're not even 50 years old. Well, because before Abraham and Moses was, I am. And which claims to be God right to their face, which obviously
Right.
they know that because they're ready to stone him, right? But he tells them, you're not sons of Abraham. You're sons of the devil. That's what he tells
Right.
them. Listen to this great verse. This is 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourself. This is for people who think, because I go to this church, because this guy's my pastor. This is people going to my church. If they say, I go to Destiny, Rich is my pastor. Okay, if you think that gets you to heaven, you're in trouble. It doesn't matter where you go. Listen to this verse. Examine yourself as to whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves. Do you not know yourselves that Jesus Christ is in you? Unless indeed you are disqualified. Are we in the faith? Are we sons and daughters of God? Are we really? Are we born again? Because that's, like you said, that's how we become children of God, through faith. Everybody's born, but that doesn't make you a son of God. That makes you a son of Adam. We have to be born again.
Right. It's just again, it's new age crap. It's merged, throw a little Christian type stuff in,
Yep.
throw a little Marxist radical liberation theology in, throw, these au courant politically correct ideologies in. And it's all so that, the church won't lose members. And so we make it this big Broadway. The only problem was that Jesus said that the road to heaven is narrow and few get it, but the highway to hell, well, it's big.
Lots of folks going that way.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the podcast that we were talking about. You got to think for yourself, not only in politics, but in regards to Christianity. I mean, the injunction that you read about what Paul told, I think, the church in Corinth to do is that should be the soup du jour for every Christian, to
Right.
constantly scour the scripture. And you're not frantically like, am I really saved or am I not saved? Brother, I know I'm saved because Christianity is the last thing that I would ever choose in my
In the
life.
flesh, right.
I had
Without
this guy
Jesus,
one.
I ain't doing that.
Yeah, if there be no resurrection, I'm going to follow Paul's lead.
Yeah.
And eat, drink, and party.
Well, what did
That's
he say
I'm
about
going to
that?
do.
He said, if Christ isn't raised from the dead,
Yeah, this is stupid. This is
we're the
foolishness.
dumbest people of all. That's what he says.
I had this guy.
Because people
man.
say, well, if I was wrong, it's still the best way to live. I'm like, that's the dumbest
No.
anti-biblical crap I've ever heard in my
Right.
life.
Yeah, and if people think you and I are screwy for saying that, Paul said it. If the dead be not raised, we're of all men to be pitied for what we're doing.
You said something, too. You said about churches that they're trying to keep people in the pews. Well, it's not working now because culture says don't go to church. Culture says you can go to a rally and a protest and a riot and a whatever, but you can't go to church. You can fly in a plane, can't go to church. You can go to Walmart, can't go to church. You can go to McDonald's 57,000 times a day, but you can't trick-or-treat. Plus, you're of the devil if you trick-or-treat anyway. So anything you do like that, you can't do it. So the funny thing is all these pastors are chasing after culture, and culture just gave the church the finger. So now their churches are at 25 to 30%. They're losing money, closing campuses, selling off properties, laying everybody off on their staff. And they're going, what do we do? It's like you're chasing the culture that ain't going to be had, son. We're not a church that reaches out to the culture. We're a counter-cultural revolution. That's what the church is. We're supposed to offer the culture of the kingdom, which means we love you. We're in your culture. We wear what you wear. We eat where you eat. We hang out. Our kids go to school with your kids. But we don't think how you think. We don't live how you live.
You look at what John MacArthur. I don't know if you've been following him, but oh my God, on October 4th, there was this little snippet. I'll send you the timestamp and stuff because it's I think it's nearly a 2-hour-long service, which is just incredible. The cojones that Juan has on him, and especially in the draconian anti-Christian state called Californication. And so he comes out, and I think about 9 minutes and 30 seconds into the October 4th video, and he flat out calls Gavin Newsom evil, says he's satanic, says he's anti-Christ, anti-God, anti-family. And what's hilarious is I've got a buddy of mine who sent this this mailer. He put this statement out on Facebook in his private group. He's getting a little pushback for it and stuff. He goes, "How come Christians will not say from the pulpit that so-and-so, like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, are anti-Christian, they're anti-freedom, they're anti-constitution, we're being lied to, they're carrier pigeons of radical Marxist ideology. Why don't you say it? Because that's pure evil. It's not the Democratic Party of JFK and grandmama and granddaddy. This is a malevolent satanic force that's worldview was born in the abyss. It's the cause of nearly all the mass slaughters in the 20th century and the 2 world wars. And all of a sudden now, because it's been dusted up and parlayed, we're all of a sudden supposed to accept this Trojan horse." And he said, and the pastors, they're not saying squat. And John MacArthur is saying stuff. And you know what happened to his church? As much as Gavin Newsom, state of California, all the local reps and stuff have been fighting him tooth, fang, and claw, threatening to shut off his electricity. His church is doubling.
Yeah, because people are looking for a real church.
Exactly, man. And to your point, everybody's like, let's be culturally, cool, and let's be like Jimmy Fallon, and let's ignore, the 400-ton gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
And John's like, no, I'm going to take it head on. I'm going to call names. We're going to pray imprecatory prayers upon our leaders in our state. We hope they get saved, but if not, Lord smite them. Reads through Habakkuk, tells the church, listen, you're going to be okay. Okay. Now, I don't know if the rest of the state's going to be okay or the nation's going to be okay because we're under judgment right now. But thank God, this is MacArthur, man, and I've followed him for 30 years. Never political. He said, thank God for Donald Trump. He fears the Lord. He's a complete godsend.
It's cool.
But all these other leaders, they're godless. And my buddy said, why don't other pastors do that? And they're like, oh, it'll hurt our church attendance. MacArthur had to extend his parking lot on his property.
Hurt church attendance. You know what? They don't have it in them, Doug. They don't have it in them. They don't have it in them. It's an interesting thing. You got a guy like that that's standing up and Christians are going to his church. But then you have a guy like Chris Pratt, who's an actor, who's a Christian. And you saw that this last week he was trending. They were roasting him because he didn't go to a Democratic fundraiser. Right. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything for the Republicans. He's not really a political guy. He doesn't say much. And all of these guys, and literally, Doug, they're tearing him to shreds. And all of these actors in Hollywood started coming out defending him. Right. Conservatives and liberals. Liberals were saying, wait a minute, this guy's a real Christian.
Yeah.
We've spent time sharing our deepest secrets and our lives together, ours. He's one of the most real dudes. He's the best dude I've ever known. Like, they're saying stuff like that. And they're saying, get off Chris Pratt. Like, literally, they're that fickle. Our culture's that fickle. And if you want to reach that kind of culture in your church, that if they're that fickle and then 1 second they want to turn on you and you want to play the game, then know it. Just like we said earlier, you live by the fad, you die by the fad. You live by woke, you go broke living by woke. I'll tell you what, I say stuff in my church and people go like that, and I tell them, hey, if that offended you, you might as well leave now because you ain't going to make it through the rest of this message. And if you make it through this message, this is a light one. This is nothing compared to the stuff I'm going to be telling you.
I'm holding back now.
Yeah, because we need it, because people need to hear the truth. Look, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to tell you what to think, but I'm going to tell you how to think, and then you're required by God to think. And we're not going to tolerate that. I like Jordan Peterson said that. This lady asked him in an interview, Doug. She said, Well, what about your kids? Are you controlling with them? And something like that. I don't know, some stupid, irrelevant thing. And he said, look, I don't tell my children what to do. He said they can choose their own path in their own life. He said, I don't allow them to be delusional. They have to be honest. He said, so whatever they're doing, awesome. They have to be honest about what they're doing. They have to be honest about why they're doing it. And I thought, man, I applied that to my kids immediately. I want to help you to be honest and think about what you're doing. You can do whatever you want, but be honest. Like if I'm going to buy something, Doug, I don't do that thing that I did when I was 18. Let me tell you why this is the best thing and I need to do this. And you know people that do that and they're grown-ups and they're still doing that. You know what I say? I bought my motorcycle on my 50th birthday. And I said, man, this is the dumbest thing I could do. Definitely don't need to be spending money on a motorcycle. It's my 50th birthday. It comes once. I'm buying it. And you know what people said? Good, it's your 50th birthday, you should. Nobody cares, but I'm not going to be delusional and lie to myself about, well, it's a really good deal and this is the only time and I have to. When you do that stuff, but people do that about jobs, they do it about houses, they do it about spouses, they do it about churches, they do it about their whole life, and they're completely delusional. And then they're fickle on top of that because it's all about their emotions. So I know I went off on a little rant, but I'm so frustrated with our culture, and the church is pandering to it the way that Joe Biden pandered to Hispanic voters playing Despacito on his phone. And I know I said it like a white guy. That's because I'm a white guy.
Right. Well, everybody's like, these days are so scary, and it's like, I was born for this, man.
Yeah.
If you're a Christian right now and you love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and you're not vying into the culture, man, you are in the right place at the right time. Because again, as we're seeing like at MacArthur's place, and we're seeing it at our cigar and sermons. I mean, these are big monthly Bible studies, and the people, man, they're like Duran Duran saying, Rich, they're hungry as a wolf.
Yep.
And the reason why is because all the other churches are shuttered down. Is it what?
Hungry
what
like
say?
the wolf. You said hungry as the wolf. You're good, man. Keep rolling.
Oh,
the churches are hunkering down.
Cut this out. I made a mistake. Now it's a famine for the word of God that's not going forth anywhere. People are like, let's just ignore, the situation. Let's preach around it. Or they just flat out just shut the damn church down and do stupid
We're
remote
only doing online
video
from now on. Hey, Craig Rochelle from Life Church and I don't know if this is true. This is what I heard. So I'm going to throw it out there for people to find if it's true. Let me know. But I heard that he is recording his sermons on Thursdays, and then he's taking his family out on the weekends.
Hell yeah, man.
And but he wants the rest of the church to go sit in a room and watch him on video.
Right.
While he's out. Maybe you miss the whole purpose of the church in the earth, its community, not listening to you teach. Like that's stupid. If you can be replaced with YouTube, you're not a church.
You're
most
an
app. That pisses me off, dude. So you're going to take the weekend off, but we're all supposed to take our kids and go sit down in a building and watch you on video. That even make no sense.
Yeah, most people that I'm hanging out with, man, and deep in the heart of Texas, they don't watch their pastor. They're going back to Sproul videos, man. They're picking up some Ravenhill and just deep diving into the old scratchy audio Tozer sermons and stuff. And to me, I'm like, fantastic.
Or the old revivalists. You ever hear that tape and the guy goes, you have to realize this life is just a dressing room for eternity.
Yeah,
and you hear it and you go, oh my God, I never want to hear that guy say anything to me ever again as long as I live. You're so convicted.
Yeah, it's Martin Lloyd-Jones.
Is that who that is? God, that sermon is terrible.
That's the cool thing. Again, man, that's the great thing about these churches, shutting down. It's kind of like God's like, you know what? I'm not digging you too much anymore. Just kind of like the NFL and
irrelevant,
like the NBA. It's like, no, you need to sit down. You not save whatsoever.
Hey. Well, I always say this, we go through life, we go through mountaintops and valley experiences and all that. And the problem with the church is we've been on the mountaintop a long time, and they're designing messages for mountaintops. And now we're down in a valley and everybody's saying, what do we do now? And they're like, I don't know. We just baby you and hold your hand in times of prosperity. And so the reality is this, and this is what I always say, Doug. No one's ever fallen from a valley. The valley is actually the safest place to be. The mountaintop is when you don't need God. Prosperity is when you don't need God. Prosperity and peace is when the church doesn't need God. But just like David Curry shared when he was on our podcast, the persecuted church is exploding because people need God and they're running to the Lord. Man, the valley of death, come on, we fear not. Why?
Yeah.
Because you're with me. That's what's up.
Yeah, and last time I checked, man, rivers run through valleys.
Yep.
So I'm cool with difficulty. I'm cool with privation, persecution. I died, I think it was 37 years ago.
Yeah.
When Christ captured me. So bring it on. The thing that I want to make certain for the Warrior and Wildmen listener, and for my buddy Rich and everybody else who hears this, is that you are living your life in light of eternity. That, because right now, like Dr. Sproul said, it counts forever. Yeah, it does.
Yep.
And we're on the right side of the equation. We're not perfect. We're idiots, you know. I sin. You sin. We all sin. But you know what? Line up with Christ. Line up with His Word. Be bold. And this could be, as Churchill said, in a very difficult time, Rich, this could be the church's finest hour. But you got to play the man, okay? You got to act like a man, as Paul said in 1 Corinthians 16. Hey, man, Rich, I got to run. I got to go. What should the Warrior and Wildmen listener, viewer, subscriber, enthusiast, rowdy, and righteous warrior do?
Let me throw this last thought out there before I tell them what to do.
Hit me.
I enjoy some prosperity. I enjoy having some money. I enjoy peace. I enjoy success. I'm good at it. I enjoy it. But, and I hate to say this, I'm not trying to be prophetic, but Jesus said, in this world you will have tribulation, right? But I'm also good at being broke. I'm good at going through trials. I'm good at struggles and challenges. I'm good at when the going gets tough, that you know, through Christ I can do all things. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I find that I'm better. I'm a better man in difficult times. And I'm not saying I want it, but it's worth it. If I have a choice to have a country of peace, prosperity, and everything's wonderful, or if I have to suffer for people to be saved and there to be a revival, I'm not just saying this because we're on our podcast doing our thing. If the Lord asked me that in prayer, I would say, I'll take it. Let's do it. Because my goal, it's like when David showed up to fight Goliath, he said, guys, is there not a cause? And it seems like the church forgot. The world, much less, has no cause. But the church forgot there's a cause, man. And it's more important than us just having a good time and staying away from negative people and cliches. Let's follow Christ. Let's know Him and let's make Him known.
Yep.
That's all I have to say about that.
And if not, I think, who was it? I think Spider-Man or Green Hornet. No? Oh, it was Jesus who said, if you lose your salt, then you're good for nothing.
Yeah.
You're going to be trampled by men, and you will be thrown out on a manure pile. Boom, brother.
There
All
it
right,
is.
man. Wind this baby up.
Warriors of Wildmen. Go to warriorsofwildmen.com. Like us, love us, subscribe. Hit us up on social media. If you want to help us push this message out, hit the war chest. Send us some cash to push it out farther, deeper, wider. Share it with a friend, somebody that will help them out. Warriors of Wildmen.